I never thought I'd end up staring at my own reflection in a dingy motel mirror, wearing a stranger's skin that itched like a bad lie, plotting to burn down the empire I'd built brick by goddamn brick. 18 years at Vanguard Capital. And they tossed me out like yesterday's coffee grounds, downsizing. They called it, but I could smell the rot from a mile away. That night, as the lab tech strapped me into the chair for what they swore was a routine neural scan, I whispered my first vow of revenge into the cold hum of the machine. I'd make Harlan Voss choke on every secret he'd buried me under. It started in the boardroom of Vanguard's Manhattan headquarters. That glass cage 30 stories above the chaos of Wall Street, where the air always tasted like recycled ambition and stale cigar smoke. I was Athena Hale, 42, Senior VP of Risk Management, the woman who'd clawed her way up from a Jersey trailer park to a corner office with a view of the Hudson that made you feel like you owned the world. Or at least a piece of it. Harlan Voss, the CEO, was the kingpin silver fox in his 50s. Harvard polish over a gutter soul. The kind of guy who quoted Sun Tzu while screwing over widows' pensions for a quarterly bump. We'd been tight once. Or so I thought. Late nights crunching numbers. His hand lingering a beat too long on my shoulder. Whispers about the family we were building at Vanguard. Bullshit. It was all smoke and mergers until the feds started sniffing around the offshore accounts. The hook that snagged me? That embezzlement scandal in 22. 200 million vanished like mist off the East River, funneled through shell companies in the Caymans. I took the fall for it, pleaded guilty to accessory charges, did 18 months in minimum security hell upstate, the kind where the guards leer and the foods got more salt than soul. But it wasn't me. Harlan had done the dirty, siphoning funds to bankroll his pet project, Project Echo. Some black-budget neural tech cooked up in a basement lab, promising to recalibrate executive stress, but really a body swap prototype for the ultra-rich to dodge mortality. He'd framed me clean, forged emails, planted ledgers, even got my signature digitized on the wire transfers. Why me? Loyalty, he said in that velvet voice during my voluntary confession. You're the rock, Athena. Take this hit, and when you get out, we'll make you queen. Queen of what? A cardboard box in Alphabet City. Out on parole 3 years early for good behavior, I slumped back to the city that chewed me up and spat me out.
No fanfare.
No job offers, just a one-bedroom in Queens that smelled like regret and a bank account drier than a Sahara wind. Harlan's dismissal letter arrived via courier the day I crossed the bridge. Business exigencies necessitate restructuring. Your contributions are appreciated. Appreciated. Like a tip to a bartender who'd mixed one too many. I knew then it was him pulling strings, ensuring I'd stay buried. But something was off from the jump. Whispers in the parole office about experimental rehab programs for white-collar cons. A shady NGO called Regenesis offering second chances with a fat signing bonus. Desperate. I signed up. One van ride to a nondescript warehouse in Red Hook later. And they had me in that chair, electrodes kissing my temples. A cocktail of nanites and neural blockers flooding my veins. The swap hit like a freight train through a dream. 1 second.
I'm Atenahale.
Scarred and seething. The next. I'm blinking up at fluorescent hell. My body feeling wrong. Limbs too long. Voice a gravelly baritone that echoed off the walls. The techs, clipboards, and clip-on badges muttered about successful integration. Harlan's face swam into view, grinning like a shark in a suit. Welcome to the new you, Mr. Hale. Mister? That's when it clicked. They jammed me into the husk of Eddie Hale. My own estranged brother, a junkie drifter who'd OD'd in a Flushing motel 6 months back. Eddie, the family black sheep I'd bailed out of scrapes since we were kids. The one whose rap sheet made mine look pristine. But Eddie was dead. Or supposed to be. Turns out, Harlan had scooped his corpse for parts. Project Echo wasn't just swapping souls for the elite, it was recycling the discarded. My consciousness, my rage, my memories, wired into Eddie's fried synapses. A Frankenstein fix to keep the tech viable. Harlan's genius, used the dead to test the living. And me, the perfect guinea pig. My neural map already scanned during those loyalty sessions he'd forced post-scandal. Betrayal didn't cut it. This was violation on a cosmic scale. I'd borne his crime, lost my freedom, my name, and now my flesh. As they wheeled me out, doped to the gills, I locked eyes with my old body, strapped down in the next bay, vacant-eyed, waiting for whatever rich asshole Harlan had lined up to slip inside. That was the secret he'd buried deepest. Not just theft, but playing God with the disposable. Recovery was a blur of black market clinics and burner phones, piecing together a life that wasn't mine. Eddie's face in the mirror, hollow cheeks, track marks faded to ghosts, stared back like an accusation. I dyed the stubble blonde, scored a fake ID as Alex Harlan, twist of the knife, and hit the streets. Queens to Brooklyn. Hustling day labor on construction sites where the foreman didn't ask questions about a guy who moved like he was haunted. But I wasn't idle. Nightly, I'd haunt the dark web forums, chasing threads on Regenesis, cross-referencing Harlan's yacht sightings with SEC filings. The man was untouchable. Philanthropy galas at the Met, board seats at half the Fortune 500, a penthouse fortress on Billionaires Row that screamed old money laundering. My first move was small, surgical, a fishing hook into a junior analyst at Vanguard. Some wide-eyed kid named Mia, who'd friend me on LinkedIn back when I was Athena. Missed you at the holiday party. I typed from a VPN in a cyber cafe. Voice modulator turning my words into her old mentor's lilt. She sent over org charts. Whispers about Echo upgrades. That's how I learned the scale. Harlan's inner circle. A cabal of VPs who'd swapped into younger shells, cheating death while the company bled employees dry. Mia's leak confirmed it. My old office now belonged to Athena 2.0, a perky 30-something in my skin, parroting Harlan's lines like a ventriloquist's dummy. The controversy? These swaps weren't consensual, they were coerced. Powered by the desperate like me, the homeless, the forgotten. Harlan's empire built on stolen lives. But revenge isn't a straight shot, it's a maze of mirrors. And mine started cracking early. I needed an in, someone close enough to smell the fear. Enter Victor Lang, Harlan's right-hand fixer, the weasel who'd notarized my confession. Vic was sloppy. Weekend poker dives in Atlantic City, where the whales swam loose. I cleaned up Eddie's threads, borrowed suit from a pawn shop, practiced a Jersey drawl that masked the tremor, and bought into a game. $5,000 from odd jobs. All in. Vic folded easy on a bluff. But the Real win was the year. Slurred confessions over bourbon about the boss's immortality kick, hints at a gala where the swaps would go public. Pitched as revolutionary wellness. That night in the casino's haze. Cigar, ash dusting the bays. I made my first controversial call. Vic's phone buzzed mid-hand. Harlan. Demanding a pickup. I palmed it when he hit the head, cloned the SIM in the men's room stall. Heart pounding like a jackhammer. Unethical? Hell. It was felonious. But in Eddie's body, what did I have left to lose? The data dump was gold. Encrypted emails detailing the next integration. A senator's wife slotted for my old shell. Payment in Vanguard stock. But the twist? Buried in the metadata. A file labeled, Hail Contingency. My blood ran cold. It wasn't just framing. Harlan had groomed me for this. Years back, during a team-building retreat in the Hamptons, he'd spiked my wine with a neural tracer, mapping my mind for Echo. The betrayal deepened. I wasn't collateral. I was the blueprint. Back in the city, tension coiled like a spring in my chest. I holed up in a red hook squat, walls papered in printouts. A .38 snubnose from a street contact heavy in my jacket. The plan crystallized. Infiltrate the gala at the plaza. Expose the swaps live. Drag Harlan into the light. But doubt gnawed. Eddie's memories bleeding through in flashes. Junky haze of betrayals I'd ignored. Had I enabled Harlan? Turned a blind eye to the shady deals because they padded my bonus? The American dream's dark underbelly. Climb high enough, and you start shoving the ladder away. The gala loomed. Black-tie vultures circling crystal flutes under chandeliers that dripped like melting gold. I crashed as VIX +1, a ghost in a rented tux that hung loose on Eddie's frame. Harlan held court center stage. Silver mane catching the light. Toasting innovation in human potential. My old body, Athena 2.0, clung to his arm, laughing at jokes I knew were stale. Rage boiled. But I played cool, nursing a scotch that burned wrong in this throat. Whispers from the cabal. Swaps for the 1%. Immortality for sale. The controversy simmered. Ethical debates hushed by NDAs thicker than the caviar. Then the hook. A server bumped me. Spilling tray. Distraction enough to slip a USB into Harlan's coat pocket. My virus. Coded in stolen hours on a library laptop, it'd hijack the keynote projector. Beaming echoes horrors, grainy lab footage. Consent forms inked under duress. My face pleading from a pre-swap vid. But as the lights dimmed for his speech, Vic cornered me in the coat check. Breath hot with whiskey. You ain't right.
Hail.
What's your game? Bluff failed. He lunged. And instinct, Eddie's street smarts, kicked in. I clocked him with the butt of the .38. Zip-tied him in the shadows. Controversial? Assault on a witness. But it bought me time. Up on stage. Harlan's voice boomed. Slick as oil. Tonight, we unveil Echo, the future of self. Slides flickered, sanitized promises. My hack triggered. My face filled the screen. Mid-scream from the chair. Voiceover of my confession tape remixed. Harlan Voss stole my life, literally. Gasps rippled. Phones whipped out. Chaos erupted, senators bolting.
Reporters swarming.
Harlan's eyes locked on mine across the room. Recognition dawning like a storm cloud. He bolted backstage. But I was faster, weaving through the panic. Eddie's legs carrying me like borrowed fire. The chase spilled into the service corridors. Fluorescent buzz and the stink of spilled champagne. Athena, he hissed. Cornered by the loading dock. Security details scattered by the uproar. What the fuck have you done? I ripped off the fake mustache. Voice modulator ditched, raw. Feminine timbre clashing with this male shell. 18 years. Harlan. My freedom. My body. You think a speech erases that? He laughed. That patronizing bark. You were always too loyal. Took the hit like a pro. Echoes bigger than us. Immortality for the deserving. Deserving. The word snapped something. My second controversial call. I pressed the .38 to his temple. Finger itching. Not kill, expose. But the safety clicked off. And for a heartbeat, I saw it. Pull the trigger. End the monster. Damn the fallout. American justice. Vigilante style. Instead, I kneed him, dragged him to the dock's edge, where the Hudson lapped black and indifferent. Tell them, I growled, forcing his phone live on a 911 stream. Confess, or I paint the pier with your genius. He broke, spilling it all. Voice cracking over the line. The embezzlement. The frames.
The swaps.
Sirens wailed distant.
Closing in.
Victory tasted like ash. As cops swarmed, cuffing us both, me for the gun, him for the Empire's sins, I caught my reflection in a puddle. Eddie's face, twisted in triumph. But the twist was coming, sharper than any blade. They hauled Harlan away in a cavalcade of blues, spotlights carving his defeat into the night like a bad headline.
Me?
Tossed into the back of a squad car, zip ties biting into wrists that weren't mine. The .38 logged as evidence against Alex Harlan, a nobody with a dead man's prints. Interrogation at the first precinct was a circus, detectives circling like hyenas, grilling me on the gala hack. Vic's knot on his skull. The viral confession that was already trending Echogate. You ain't Eddie Hale, one growled, flipping my mugshot from a decade-old Bianni. Spill it.
Freak.
What's your beef with Voss? Beef? It was a slaughterhouse. But spilling meant unraveling the swap, inviting white coats and psych evals that'd lock me in Bellevue forever. So I lawyered up, public defender with a nicotine hack and eyes like chipped flint, pleading self-defense. Temporary insanity from corporate trauma. The press feasted. XVP's ghost crashes Voss Gala. My old face plastered everywhere. Athena Hale reborn as urban legend. Harlan lawyered harder, silver-tongued firm out of D.C. Spinning Echo as speculative R&D. The swaps, metaphorical team building. But the feds bit. SEC raids hit Vanguard dawn. Offshore freezes. Congressional hearings teed up. My revenge was live.
Raw. And racking up likes.
Bail came courtesy of Mia, the analyst kid, guilt or gratitude. She wouldn't say, posting from a GoFundMe that ballooned overnight. Justice for Athena, it read. Donors from ex-employees to Me Too vets. Out on the street again. I vanished into the city's veins, Chinatown noodle joints for anonymity. All-night laundromats to plot. The tension ratcheted, Harlan's goons tailing shadows. Anonymous tips luring me to dead drops that reeked of setup. One night in a Hell's Kitchen dive. A burner buzzed, unknown number. Voice synthesized to mimic mine. Run. Athena. Or join the others. Others? The missing lab techs who'd vanished post-Echo. Bodies fished from the Gowanus with accidental drowning tags. That's when the doubt deepened. A worm in my gut. Eddie's memories surged stronger now. Neural scars knitting in the wrong ways. Flashes. Our childhood in Bayonne. Dad's mill closing. Mom's pills. I'd left him behind, climbing to Vanguard while he spiraled. Had Harlan exploited that fracture? A deeper dig via Mia's backchannel revealed the secret's core. Project Echo wasn't Harlan's brainchild. It was mine or Athena's.
Anyway.
Buried in archived emails from 18. A pitch I'd drafted during a bourbon-fueled all-nighter. Neural redundancy for executive resilience. A joke. Half-baked. Inspired by a TED Talk on mind uploading. Harlan had stolen it. Twisted it into his Frankenstein factory. Then pinned the fallout on me to cover the patents. Betrayal inverted. I'd birthed the monster. even if unwittingly. The crime I'd borne? Not just embezzlement, but intellectual theft. My ideas laundered into his legacy. Rage morphed to nausea had I been the villain all along. Blind to the ambition that mirrored his? Controversial Decision 3. Confront the ghost of Athena past. I bribed a Regenesis whistleblower, a jittery ex-tech named Raj,
For access to the lab.
midnight infiltration, chainlink snipped, alarm silenced with a jammer from a hacker collective in Bushwick. Inside, the chair loomed like a throne of thorns, monitors flickering with ghost data, swap logs, failure rates. There, in a cryo vault, floated my old body, suspended, brain dead, a vessel for the elite.
Touching the glass.
I whispered apologies to the shell that stared blank. But Raj's warning echoed. It's not over. Voss has contingencies, backups. As we bolted, floodlights pierced the dark, Harlan's private security. Mercs with night vision and no badges. Gunfire stitched the chain link. Ricochets, whining like banshees. Raj took a slug in the thigh. Blood black in the sodium glow. I dragged him to the van, tires screaming toward the BQE. Heart a war drum. Why risk it, he gasped. Tourniquet improvised from my belt. For truth, I lied. Truth was the hook now, expose not just Harlan,
But the rod in me.
The hearings kicked off in D.C., a three-ring circus of suits and subpoenas. I testified remotely. Voice scrambled. As Deep Throat 2.0. Harlan stonewalled, charming the committee with teary mea culpas, a visionary gone astray. But my leaks, dumped via WikiLeaks proxy, cracked him. Audio of swaps. Victim manifests naming the vanished. Public outrage boiled. Protests outside Vanguard HQ. Body snatchers trending. Ethicists on CNN decrying corporate necromancy. My controversial play. Leak the personal. Harlan's daughter, Lila, a Vassar sophomore with activist cred, got an anonymous packet, Daddy's dirty ledger, including her trust funds seeded by stolen lives. She flipped, going public in a tear-streaked TikTok that went nuclear. My father's a thief of souls. Harlan's empire crumbled in slow motion, stock plunge. Board ouster. Indictments stacking like Jenga. But tension peaked in the shadows.
Beak.
Out on bail. Cornered me in a flatbush bodega. Shank glinting under the fluorescent hum. Boss says hi, he snarled, lunging. Eddie's reflexes saved me, elbow to the throat, knee to the groin. The .38's twin now in my hand, pressed to his ear. Tell me the endgame, I demanded, breath ragged. He spat blood, grinning yellow. You think it's him? Echoes viral now, your code.
Hail.
Every swap's got your signature. You're the ghost in the machine. Chilled. I let him slink away. But the seed planted. Back in the squat. Pouring over Raj's salvage drive. The twist unfurled. My neural map wasn't just blueprint. It was the virus. During the swap, Harlan had laced it with a dormant code, my subconscious rage. Weaponized. Every integrated host, senators, CEOs started glitching. Paranoia spikes. Loyalty flips. Reports flooded dark pools. Suicides. Betrayals. A senator ranting about stolen skins before a bridge dive. Echo wasn't failing, it was rebelling. My vengeance coded into the souls it stole. I'd built a plague. Unintentional but mine. The climax brewed in Harlan's penthouse. A glass eyrie overlooking the fray. I scaled the service elevator, disguised as maintenance. Toolkit hiding climbing gear from my construction days. Security bypassed with a looped feed, amateur hour. But adrenaline sharpened the edges. He was alone, packing shredders with finale docs, scotch sweating in his fist. Athena, he said without turning, back to the floor-to-ceiling windows where the city sprawled like a conquered map. Always the climber. I stepped from shadow, Eddie's bulk filling the door. Gun steady. 18 years. Harlan. My life for your god complex. He turned slow, eyes hollowed by the fall, whiskey veins mapping defeat. You think you won? Echoes out. Your mind's in 100 heads now, whispering doubts. They'll burn it all down with you inside. The room spun. Flashes of other lives assaulted me, a Wall Street wolf clawing at illusions.
A Ted Bro smashing mirrors.
My code. My curse. Controversial zenith. I could have ended it clean. Bullet to the brain. Vigilante poetry. Instead, I forced the swap, dragged him to the penthouse panic room. Echo-rigged jury-rigged from Raja specs.
Nanites via syringe.
Electrodes jury-rigged to the smart home grid. Feel it, I hissed, flipping the switch. His scream echoed as we merged me into him into Eddie's husk. For a moment, eternity, his memories flooding, the depths of his cunning, the fear he'd buried under bluster. Betrayal's full circle, he'd swapped me to test the code, knowing it had spread my rage like wildfire. As the rig hummed down, Harlan and Eddie slumped, eyes mine but soulless. I stood in his skin, tailored suit hanging right, reflection a silver fox's sneer. The twist reversed, sirens below. Feds storming for the final arrest. But now I was Harlan Voss, untouchable heir to the chaos I'd sown. Freedom? Or prison in a monster's flesh? Wearing Harlan's skin felt like slipping into a noose tailored to perfection, silk-tied choking subtle. The weight of his Rolex a constant reminder that time was the first thing he'd stolen from everyone. The penthouse raid hit like a thunderclap, feds in tactical vests breaching the lobby, bullhorns blaring surrender. But I was steps ahead, elevator descent time to the second, emerging as Harlan Voss into the chaos, disheveled but commanding, barking orders at the detail like I'd rehearsed in his memories. Escort me out the garage. This is a misunderstanding. They complied. Loyalty's a bitch when it's bought. The convoy whisked me to a safe house in Westchester. A McMansion bunker stocked with burner servers and enough scotch to drown regrets. Lila waited there, eyes red-rimmed. Poster child for the scandal's human cost. Dad, what the hell happened? She lunged for a hug. But I stiffened, Harlan's paternal chill bleeding through. Complications.
Kiddo.
We'll fix it. Fix it? The word tasted like lies on his tongue. Over claret and cable news, Echo Apocalypse looping my gala takedown, she grilled me. The swaps? The bodies? My remorse. I spun the yarn Harlan would've, contrition laced with deflection, promising restitution funds from the Caymans. She bought it. Or wanted to, daddy's girl to the marrow. But inside,
Varaget.
My mind, Athena's steel, clashing with his labyrinth of schemes. Flashes assaulted, boardroom conquests, mistresses in the Hamptons. The night he'd decided on me for the frame. Loyal Athena, he'd monologue to his reflection, practicing the pitch. She'll take the bullet. Deeper cuts, Echo's origin. My pilfered pitch twisted not just for profit, but personal salvation. Harlan scans revealed a glioblastoma. Stage 4. Ticking like a bomb when I proposed the neural idea. He'd accelerated it, testing on the desperate to buy himself time. The betrayal? Cosmic theft. I'd been his unwitting savior. My mind mapped to map his escape. Tension coiled tighter than a G-string on a subway pole. Lila's presence was a minefield. One wrong inflection, and she'd sniff the imposter. I played the part. Family dinners of takeout Thai. Feigned calls to lawyers, but the glitches spread. News feeds buzzed with echo fallout. A Fortune 500 exec catatonic in his corner office, muttering about Hale's ghost. My code. Viral vengeance. Unraveling the elite. Controversial ripple. Do I contain it? Harlan's memories held the kill switch, a master decrypt in his vault. Zurich-coded. But deploying it'd erase me too, neural echo bouncing back. Frying this host. Self-preservation versus apocalypse. American dilemma. Save the world. Or your ass. Nights blurred into strategy sessions with ghosts. Raj. Patched up in a Brooklyn walk-in. Fed me intel via encrypted drops. Regenesis shuddered. But black market swaps thriving in Jersey warehouses. Victims like me, parolees. Addicts fed into the grinder, emerging as shadows. One name haunted, Marcus Tate. A Detroit auto worker swapped into a starlet's corpse, now pimping his new curves on OnlyFans to survive. I reached out. Voice modulator to Harlan's timbre. We end this. Together. He, bit. Rallying a network of the displaced. Our cell. Misfits in stolen skins. Plotting from chat rooms and crash pads. The plan? Hijack Harlan's congressional testimony.
Turn it into Judgment Day. DC Lum.
Marble halls echoing with hypocrisy. I flew private, Harlan's perks holding, into a storm of paparazzi and protesters chanting, "Souls for sale." The hearing chamber was a coliseum, senators in flag pins, cameras whirring like locusts. I took the stand in a bespoke Zegna, Harlan's poise masking Athena's fire. Project Echo was a misstep, I intoned, scripted remorse dripping like honey. Born of desperation, not malice. Questions probed, ethics. Consent. The bodies. I parried. But the hook twisted. Lila, subpoenaed as witness,
Took the mic.
My father built this on lies, she said, voice steel. But who's really inside him now?
Gasps.
The room froze. My poker face cracked, Harlan's tick. A jaw clench I'd never had. What are you implying? Young lady, the chair boomed. Lila locked eyes. Packet in hand, my anonymous leak. Now her ace. Neural logs. Dad. Your brainwaves don't match. Someone else's ghost. Chaos. Gavels banging. Aides scrambling. I bolted, literally chair toppling as I vaulted the bar. Security in pursuit down marble corridors. Heart hammering in Harlan's chest. I flashed his credentials at a side exit, vanishing into the metro scrum. The exposure burned. Harlan haunted trended. Deep fakes of my glitches circulating. Hiding in a Georgetown flophouse. Rain lashing the sash. The tension peaked. Marcus's crew converged, 5 of us. Bodies mismatched like a thrift store heist, a burly ex-cop in a model's frame, a teen hacker in grandpa's wrinkles. We huddled over laptops, plotting the endgame, breach the Zurich vault remotely, trigger the kill switch mid a global broadcast. But doubt festered. Harlan's memories whispered temptations, wealth,
Power.
a life unscarred. What if I kept it, ruled the remnants? Athena in the king's robes? Controversial fork, mercy or purge? The network voted purge. I hesitated. Eddie's old weakness surfacing. Abandonment fear. The broadcast was Harlan's Hail Mary, a press remorse from my Hamptons estate. Live on every feed. I prepped the hack. Fingers, his elegant, manicured, flying over keys in a commandeered yacht off Montauk. Crew in position. Marcus spiking the caterer's van. Raj looping the feeds. As the sun dipped bloody into the Atlantic, I went live. Harlan's face to the world. But Athena's words cued. America, I began, voice steady. We've sold our souls for stock tips. Echo isn't innovation, it's grave robbery. The switch flipped, vault breach. Kill code cascading. Screens worldwide glitched, swapped elites convulsing in boardrooms. Mansions. Private jets. Harlan's contingency backfired. My rage virus amplified. A digital exorcism, shredding the networks. Screams echoed through the feed, souls snapping back.
Or shattering.
Harlan and Eddie, stashed in a queen's lockup, flatlined on monitors. Tell her. Sorry. Sorry? Too late. But the twist reversed harder. As the code purged, feedback lanced through, my consciousness fracturing. Athena's essence pulling free. Pain like lightning in veins. I collapsed on the yacht deck. Harlan's body convulsing. Visions. The real Harlan. Pre-swap. Whispering to a mirror. Athena's the key. Break her. And I'm eternal. No, deeper. The glioblastoma was fake. A ploy. He'd orchestrated my rise. The pitch theft. The frame. All to harvest my mind, resilient, unscarred by vice. The secret? I wasn't betrayed. I was chosen. A vessel for his purity play. The crime I'd borne? His masterpiece. Gasping, I clawed to the rail. Hudson's twin lapping below. Marcus's voice crackled. It's done. But you glitching bad. Choice loomed. Jump. Reclaim death, as Eddie. Or cling to the husk. Damned king of ruins. The controversial call. Live broken. Or die whole. The yacht rocked like a cradle in a hurricane. Atlantic swells slapping the hull as if the ocean itself rejected the monster I'd become. Harlan's body, once a temple of tailored tyranny, betrayed me now. Limbs jerking in neural spasms, his silver hair matted with sweat that tasted foreign on my lips. The kill switch had worked too well. Echo's web unraveled globally. From Silicon Valley server farms to Singapore black sites, freeing hundreds in a cascade of identity whiplash. News choppers buzzed overhead, spotlights carving the waves. Reporters barking into mics about Voss's final broadcast, my confession, looped eternally. A viral requiem that toppled conglomerates and sparked riots from LA to DC. Soul Revolution, they called it. Protesters toppling statues of captains of industry. Bonfires of NDAs lighting the night. But victory's a cruel jester. My mind splintered, Athena's clarity warring with Harlan's serpentine whispers. Eddie's haze of fog at the edges. Flashes assaulted. Boardroom Athena. Greenlighting shady deals for that next rung. Harlan's youth. Clawing from a Philly row house. Vowing never to be poor again. We'd been mirrors. Him and me. Jersey grit forged in the same fire. Diverging at the fork where I chose loyalty. He chose the throne. The twist's full inversion. The betrayal wasn't his alone. In a memory vortex. I saw it, the Hamptons retreat. My joke pitch emailed, not in jest, but calculation. I'd suspected the accounts. Buried the red flags to protect the family, complicit in the rot that birthed Echo. The crime I'd borne? Shared sin. My ambition the spark to his inferno. Marcus's crew hauled me below decks, salt-stiff clothes chafing, as the yacht cut south toward international waters. "You're fading, boss," the ex-cop-in model growled. His voice a Brooklyn bark in starlit silk. Raj patched me with scavenged meds, cocktail of blockers to stabilize the merge, but it was palliative, a band-aid on a bullet wound. Lila's face haunted the sat feed, press conference in the city, tear-streaked, disavowing whatever's left of my father. She'd won scholarships in her name for swap victims, a foundation from the liquidated empire. Good for her.
Me?
A specter in a stolen suit, chasing closure in a body that reeked of cologne and deceit. Tension crested as dawn broke, Long Island fading astern. Feds scrambled jets, Coast Guard cutters slicing the gray. Harlan's contingencies included no extradition havens. Our Hail Mary beached the yacht on a smuggler's cove in the Carolinas. Slip into the swamps where the displaced vanished easy. But en route, the glitches peaked, hallucinations bleeding real. I saw Eddie, translucent in the cabin mirror, track marks glowing like neon accusations. "You left me, sis," he rasped, voice mine from girlhood. Climbed high, pulled the ladder.
Truth tabat, ide na platarlan.
Ignored Eddie's calls during my ascent, too busy sealing deals to save the brother drowning in his own wake. The hidden secret? Harlan had known used it as leverage, dangling Eddie's rehab through regenesis to coerce my silence on the books. Controversial crescendo. Mercy kill the code's remnants. In the galley, laptop humming, I drafted the final purge, a self-destruct worm to fry any lingering echo nodes, erasing my viral rage forever. But it demanded a sacrifice. Full neural wipe. Athena's essence dissolved to ash. Marcus argued, "We need you." The fire, but I saw the math. Live as Harlan? A hunted king, forever glancing over shoulders, his vices tempting like sirens.
Free?
Reclaim the void. Let the world rebuild without ghosts. The decision hung, heavy as the .38 in my duffel, now Harlan's, engraved with a Latin motto I'd never learned. Veni, Vidi,
Vici.
I came,
I saw.
I lived, stole. Really. The cove hit at dusk, hull grinding sand with a death rattle. We scattered, Marcus to the pines, Raj to a trawler contact, me staggering shoreward, Harlan's loafers sinking in muck. Sirens wailed distant, choppers thumping the horizon. At the treeline, I paused, salt wind whipping, and triggered the worm. Code cascaded, final screams from distant hosts, my rage unraveling like smoke. Pain bloomed, white-hot, synapses firing last stands. In the throes, the endgame clarified, no heroes, just survivors in a system that devours the loyal. Harlan's empire? A symptom, not the disease, corporate America's dark heart, where dreams swap for dollars. As darkness tunneled, I shed the suit, silk pooling like spilled blood, down to skin that wasn't mine. A final controversial act, the .38 to temple, Eddie's old habit inverted. Not suicide, but severance. "Sorry, brother," I whispered to the ghost. "Should have pulled you up." The shot cracked, echoing over the marsh, deafening. Final. But in the American way, nothing's clean. Reports later claimed Voss's suicide by swamp, body washed out to sea. A myth for the tabloids. Lila inherited the ruins, Turning Vanguard to a ethics co-op, the swaps became legend. Whispered in ethics classes and dive bars. Was it happy? Tragic? Justice is a debate. Like gun laws or the death penalty, half the feeds hailed me martyr. The other half monster.
Me?
In that last spark, I felt it. Not vengeance sated.
But balance.
Athena hail. Eddie hail. Harlan Voss souls swapped, but equal in the end. The city churned on, indifferent, devouring the next climber. And somewhere, in the neural ether, I like to think we all traded places one last time, brothers in the void, plotting nothing but peace.